Hello, everyone. My name is Kaylin Jason, and I work for Hager Sharp, a communications firm that supports the National Assessment of Educational Progress, or NAEP, with various outreach activities. I'm joined today by Dr. Stephen Jackson, the chair of the NAEP Principals Panel, a group of principals who meet regularly and provide NAEP counsel on various matters. Dr. Jackson was principal of Washington, D.C.'s Dunbar High School, the first public U.S. high school for African Americans. He also served as an administrator in several schools in New York. Today, we're here to share with you some interesting data from NAEP, looking into student dispositions and more. The first 30 minutes of this presentation are pre-recorded and will be followed by a live Q&A session. But throughout the entirety of the presentation, please leave us your questions and comments through the audience response system. In a few minutes, Dr. Jackson will share some findings from the 2019 NAEP assessments, but before then, I'm going to provide an overview of the National Assessment of Educational Progress. NAEP is a congressionally mandated assessment administered by the National Center for Education Statistics within the U.S. Department of Education's Institute of Education Sciences. Since 1969, it has served as a common measure of student achievement across the country across many subjects. It's often referred to as the gold standard of large-scale assessments due to its high-quality assessment content and due to its rigorous design and methodology. NAEP is designed to inform educators, researchers, policymakers, and other stakeholders about the condition and progress of U.S. education. It tracks trend in student performance over time and provides useful comparisons across states and jurisdictions. It reports on group-level student performance across a broad range of knowledge and skills, and it also provides contextual information on student learning. And NAEP takes a leading role in innovation by being on the cutting edge of technology-based assessments. NAEP is administered to 4th, 8th, and 12th graders across the U.S. in a variety of subjects. This includes math, reading, science, civics, U.S. history, writing, and technology and engineering literacy. National results are available for all NAEP assessments and subjects. Results are also available for states and for select urban districts at grades 4 and 8 in certain subjects, including reading, math, and science. And in addition to overall results for students, NAEP results are also reported out by specific student groups. That includes by race and ethnicity, gender, eligibility for the National School Lunch Program, parents' education level, disability status, status as English language learner, school location as defined by the U.S. Census, including city, suburb, town, and rural, school type, public, private, or charter, and by region of the country. And here we have a snapshot of the 2019 NAEP report card in mathematics. You may have seen trendline data like this from NAEP before. On the screen here, we see average scale scores on a scale of 0 to 500 for both grades 4 and 8 in math. I will give a notice now that throughout the presentation, you might see some numbers on the screen that the math doesn't quite add up with what we say or what you see on screen, but that's a rounding issue. So all of the numbers that you see really represent significant difference. But if you see any difference, it's due to rounding. And on the chart on the left here, for grade 4, we see that the average scale score in mathematics in 2019 was 241. That was 27 points higher than the first year of the assessment in 1990 and 1 point higher compared to 2017. And at grade 8, the average score was 282 in 2019. That was 19 points higher compared to the first year of the assessment in 1990 and 1 point lower compared to 2017. And here we have a snapshot of the reading assessment report card from 2019. Like mathematics, the scale runs from 0 to 500 for reading for both grades 4 and 8. At grade 4, the average score was 220 in 2019. That was 4 points higher compared to 1992, the first year of the reading assessment, and 1 point lower than 2017. And at grade 8, the average score was 263 in 2019. That was 3 points higher compared to 1992 and 3 points lower compared to 2017. So overall, over roughly the past 30 years, we have seen increases across both math and reading at grades 4 and 8, but we did see some drops from 2017 to 2019. And in a few moments, the insights that Dr. Jackson's going to share come from a part of NAEP that you might not be as familiar with, the NAEP survey questionnaires. In addition to achievement data, NAEP asks participating students, their teachers, and their school administrators to answer questions related to educational experiences, instructional practices, school resources, and more. NAEP survey questionnaires are designed to provide information about students' opportunities to learn, both in and out of the classroom. They help put NAEP achievement results into context. They help explain what factors affect student performance, and they provide meaningful comparisons between student groups. So while all of the NAEP survey questionnaires can definitely be used to provide insights for your schools and your students, today we are going to focus on the student questionnaires. And now I will turn it over to Principal Jackson.
Thank you, Ms. Jason. The 2019 pre-pandemic NAEP data on how students personally feel at their school directly correlates with achievement on both math and reading. It matters more now because students nationwide feel stress, anxiety, and loneliness due to the coronavirus pandemic. We want to take some time to look at this data on the national level to examine students' feelings and their experiences at school and how they vary for different groups of students. Now we're going to dive into insights into student dispositions from the 2019 NAEP Grade 8 report cards based on responses on the 2019 student questionnaires. Please note that while we are only featuring Grade 8 results on screen today, similar NAEP data can be found for other grades and subject online. At the end of the presentation, I will share how you can explore more data online. How often did students across the US feel happy at school? During the 2019 NAEP mathematics assessment, 8th graders were asked to report how often they felt happy at school. Their response options included never or hardly ever, less than half of the time, about half of the time, more than half of the time, and all or almost all of the time. In 2019, 50% of 8th graders reported feeling happy more than half of the time or all or most of the time, down from 56% in 2017. 24% of 8th graders were happy less than half of the time or never or hardly ever while in school in 2019, up from 20% in 2017. 1 out of every 10 8th grader said they were never or hardly ever happy at school in 2019. How did the amount of time feeling happy at school correlate to average mathematics scores? Here we see how 8th graders reported levels of feeling happy at school correlated with their performance on the 2018 math assessment. 8th graders who reported feeling happy more than half of the time scored higher in math on average than students who reported feeling happy less often, as well as students who reported feeling happy all of most of the time. Students who reported feeling happy never or hardly ever scored lower on average than students at every other response option. The highest average score of 291 for students who responded feeling happy at school more than half of the time falls under the NAEP basic achievement level for grade 8 math. The NAEP achievement levels are performance standards that describe what students should know and be able to do. There are 3 NAEP achievement levels: NAEP basic, NAEP proficient, and NAEP advanced. NAEP achievement levels do not represent grade level achievement. 8th graders with an average math score of 291 fell under the NAEP basic level. The cut scores for this level in grade 8 math are 262 to 299. Eighth grade students performing at the Nape basic level should exhibit evidence of conceptual and procedural understanding of the 5 Nape content areas: number, properties, and operations, measurement, geometry, data analysis, statistics, and probability and algebra. This level of performance signifies an understanding of arithmetic operations, including estimation on whole numbers, decimals, fractions, and percents. How did the percentage of students who felt happy at school more than half of the time vary by state? We can also look at how students' responses vary by states. Since students who provided they feel happy at school most of the time had the highest average scores on the 2019 NAEP math assessment, we wanted to highlight how state percentages for the specific response option compared to the national average. The national average percentage of eighth graders who responded that they felt happy in school more than half of the time when participating in the 2019 mathematics assessment was 29%. The majority of states / jurisdictions, 35 in total, were not statistically different from the national average percentage. 4 states, those that are in dark blue, had a higher percentage of eighth graders who reported feeling happy at school more than half of the time. Hawaii, 33%, Minnesota, 32%, New York, 32%, and Washington, 32%. 7 states, those in the lighter blue gray color, had lower percentages. The state with the lowest percentage at 23% was Mississippi. Data are not available for 6 states, those in white on the map, due to not meeting the participation rates for the 2019 questionnaires. Now we're going to look at the other side of the coin. How often did eighth graders report feeling awkward, out of place at school from 2017 to 2019? During the 2019 NAEP mathematics assessment, eighth graders were asked to report how they often felt awkward and out of place at school. Their response options included never or hardly ever, less than half of the time, about half of the time, more than half of the time, and all or almost all of the time. 47% of eighth graders said they never or hardly ever felt awkward and out of place in 2019, a lower percentage than 2017. The percentage of students reporting less than half of the time also decreased. 17% said they felt awkward or out of place more than half of the time, or all or most of the time in 2019, a higher percentage than 2017, which was 13%. Of note, here is that the increases in percentages for more than half of the time and all or most of the time for students feeling awkward and out of place occurred, while there were decreases for the same response questions options for students feeling happy at school. How often does eighth graders report feeling awkward and out of place at school from 2017 to 19? Here we look at the amount of time eighth graders felt awkward and out of place at school correlated with their performance on the 2019 math assessment. Eighth graders who reported feeling awkward and out of place less than half of the time, or never or hardly ever, scored higher in math on average than students who reported awkward and out of place more often. Students reporting less than half of the time had the highest average score. Students who reported feeling awkward and out of place less than half of the time scored, all or most of the time, scored lower on average than students at every other response option. The highest average score of 288 for students who reported feeling awkward and out of place at school less than half of the time falls under the Nape basic achievement level for eighth graders. How did the amount of time feeling awkward and out of place at school correlate with average math scores? Here we see how students responded to how often they felt awkward and out of place at school based on their school location. The 4 categories are city, suburb, town, and rural. The 4 school location categories are based on standard definitions established by the Federal Office of Management and Budget using population and geographic information from the U.S. Census Bureau. A city is a territory inside an urbanized area and inside a principal city. A suburb is a territory outside a principal city and inside an urbanized area. A town is a territory inside an urban cluster. A rural territory is outside an urban cluster. There's not much significant difference across school location types. However, higher percentages of 8th graders in towns and rural areas report feeling awkward and out of place in school all or most of the time than their peers in cities. Unlike math and reading in grade 8, we see some significant difference between city students and their peers in suburbs at grade 4. In reading, a higher percentage of city 4th graders felt awkward and out of place in school than their suburban peers, all of the time and about half the time. For grade 4 math, a lower percentage of city students felt awkward and out of place, never or hardly ever, and a greater percentage, all or most of the time, than 4th graders in the suburbs. Now let's look at a different perspective and switch to findings from the 2019 reading assessment and look at how confident were students across the US in their reading knowledge and skills. As part of the student questionnaire for the 2019 grade 8 reading assessment, students were asked if they think they would be able to do the following things when reading. 1, figure out the meaning of a word you don't know by using other words in the text. 2, explain the meaning of something you've read. 3, figure out the main idea of a text. 4, find text in a reading passage to help you answer a question on a test. 5, recognize when you don't understand something you are reading. 6, recognize the difference between fact and opinion in a text. 7, judge the reliability of a source. For example, how a website might be biased or inaccurate. 8, critique an author's craft or technique. 9, use evidence from a text to support my answer. 10, identify the author's perspective in a persuasive text. For each of these activities, students' response options included, I definitely can, I probably can, maybe, I probably can, or I definitely can. Students' responses to these prompts were grouped into an overall index of their confidence level in reading knowledge skills, ranging from low to medium to high, which is represented on the screen here. In 2019, 66% of 8th graders reporting a high level of confidence in reading, down from 69% in 2017. The percentages of students with low and moderate levels of confidence increased between 2017 and 2019. How did confidence in reading correlate to average reading scores? Now we can look at the correlation between students' reading confidence levels and their performance on the 2019 reading assessments. 8th graders with a high reading confidence level scored higher, on average, than their peers with low or moderate confidence. The highest average score of 275 for students with high confidence in reading falls under the Nape basic achievement level for 8th grade reading. We saw the same pattern by confidence level in the 8th grade math assessment in 2019. Students with a high confidence in math skill scored higher, 304 on average, than students with moderate confidence, 269, and low confidence with 251. How did confidence in reading vary across student ethnicity. For the first two student dispositions, we showed you comparison between states and jurisdictions. Here, we see how reading confidence percentages varied by student race and ethnicity, including for white students, Black students, Hispanic students, Asian Pacific Islander students, American Indian, Alaska Native students, and students of two or more races. Similar to the national percentage in 2019, the majority of students across race, ethnicity groups reported high confidence levels. Across all three reading confidence levels, there were no significant percentages between white students and Asian Pacific Islander students, as well as students two or more races. Lower percentages of Black students, 68%, and Hispanic students, 56%, had high reading confidence levels compared to their white peers, which was 69%. I will turn the presentation over to Ms. Jason, who will explore insights to help your schools with the NAEP Data Explorer.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Now that we have looked at how NAEP data can be used to provide insights into student dispositions and more, we want to make sure you know where you can go to dive into the data even further to help inform insights for both your students and schools. The NAEP Data Explorer is one of the program's many online interactive tools and resources. It's a tool that has been and can be used by administrators to inform and help make decisions for their students and schools. On the tool, you can make customizable tables and graphs, and you can dive into significant statistical results such as significance testing, gap analysis, and regression analysis. You can export tables and charts to Word documents, Excel workbooks, and PDFs. So here's the link to the NAEP Data Explorer on the page on the slide here, nationsreportcard.gov/NDE Core. We want to thank you for your time today. And while you're enjoying the conference, please stop by the virtual NAEP exhibit booth. And for about the next 15 minutes or so, please let us know if you have any questions. Dr. Jackson and I are happy to discuss.